correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Okay.
These people have to be there, and then we will let's start the invite our dignitaries.
Good evening, everyone. I request the dignitaries to come up on the dais. Professor R. Sevukan, Dean, School of Media and Communication, Pondicherry University. I request to come up on the dais. Yes. Registrar, Professor Rajneesh Bhutani. Rapporteur General, Dr. Shantishri Ma'am. Professor Michel Durampart, University of Toulon,
Conference Director.
France.
Conference Director.
Mr. Conference Director. Conference Director Arul Selvan sir. Ms. Uma Prajapati. That's all. Any more?
That's all. Yes. Abhi sir. Be there. Head of the department, Dr.
I also request Professor Harvey Zanuda to come up on the dais.
Head of the department. Head of the department.
And Dr. Radhika Khanna, the head of the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication. I request all the dignitaries to kindly take their seats. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the closing ceremony of the 3-day international conference, Future Communications, Rethinking Societies, Culture and Governance, organized by the School of Media and Communication, the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication. Now, I request you all to rise for the university anthem.
இது எங்கள் புதுவெளி காட்டும் உலகம். எந்நாளும் அறிவு தேடல் தொடரும். அறிவொன்றை பொழியும் ஆசிரியர், அதில் தினமும் நனையும் மாணவர்கள். இதிலன்றோ புதுவை பல்கலைக்கழகம். அறிவின் தாகம் தனியும் சோலை, அகிலம் போற்றும் கல்வி சாலை. மனித படவே என்றும் உயர புனித சேவை தொடருதே. பல்கலைக்கழகம் என்றும் வளர்ந்திட நாம் வழிபடுவோம். கல்வி சேவைகள் யாவும் காலம் தொடர்ந்திட நாடும் வேண்டிடுவோம். புதுவை புதுவை புதுமையே போற்றுவோம். புதுவை பல்கலைக்கழகமே உன்னை வாழ்த்துவோம்.
Now, I request Professor R. Sevukan, the Dean of School of Media and Communication, Pondicherry University, to come and deliver the welcome address.
Good evening to one and all present here. Respected Registrar of this University, Dr. Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, Professor Michel, Professor Harvey, and my colleagues, Dr. Adhya Khanna and other dignitaries on the dais like Professor Arul Selvan, Dr. Uma, participants and other delegates from across the country and outside the country as well. I welcome each one of you formally to this valedictory session on this 3-day event on future communications, rethinking societies, cultures and governance. So most of the people who are on the dais are well known because they are with us for the last 3 days, except one guest we have with us. It is none other than Professor Rajnish Bhutani. He is, very simple, humble, calm, composed. We can just pile up the qualities what he has. And above all, he is a very good teacher, eminent scientist. He is basically from Earth Sciences. He is there as the professor. That is his hardcore discipline. And he also was there as a director of HRDC for quite some time. So after that, based on his innate merits, the authorities wanted him to be in the supreme position as a registrar in charge of our university. He is discharging, the duties like, he's a true academician, number one. Secondly, eminent researcher and unbiased administrator. So that is why he is holding a lot of positions. And administration will always say yes to everything, whatever he says, except one thing, that administration has refused to accept his request. It is, very simple request. When he was a director of HRDC, there was a separate car exclusively meant for the director of HRDC, but he didn't use that. He used always bicycle to visit the HRDC and wherever he is, the entire campus of 780 acres would be used by him, only by using cycle. But that was the only request when he was made as a registrar. He wanted to come by cycle only again, but the administration denied. So that is the simplicity what our registrar has. And any time you can just walk in to his room. Whenever I have met him several times for many queries, he would be very cool, sitting and attending to the queries of anybody. He doesn't have any parameters to meet anybody. Such a great personality is with us. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I welcome you, sir, to be part of this occasion. And again, Professor Michel. He's, I have not met him before, but in the last 3 days interaction, I could find that he's almost Indian. Almost Indian, yes. Almost, visited many places. He is more familiar than us about the places in town, particularly in South. So he remembers every name, if you say Madurai, we may say in a different way, but he exactly pronounces. So that's why I said he is almost Indian, and we can say even South Indian, right? So I welcome you, sir, to be part of this forum. Again, Professor Harvey, we had interaction from day one. He is also very, friendly, and always he cracks jokes. And I came to know that from my own colleagues that all three of them are stalwarts in the field of media, as I said on the first day also. Still, they never have any reservations to avoid people. So they want to mingle with everyone. And particularly when we had discussion, our registrar also is witnessing here. They were so much impressed with the presentations, particularly by the research scholars in this conference. So they are about to sign an MOU with the Pondicherry, but it is only renewal. They have been, with us for almost 3-4 years. It is going to be renewed, but so far only faculties were going. Now they want the research scholars based on their potentialities identified by these eminent invitees from France. So they want to exchange their scholars with us and our scholars with them. So that is the exchange what they want to have for mutual benefit. So with that, I felt very happy that they are so simple and also they want to give opportunity for the youngsters. So with big heart, I welcome you also, sir, to this valedictory function. Again, Dr. Uma doesn't require any introduction. She has become almost a part of the home team now. So she was in the inauguration and she is mingling with everyone almost for the past 3 days. And today we had a visit to Auroville. I hope they were the people who were hosting everything. So she doesn't require any introduction. I welcome you also, ma'am. Again, a powerful conference director is with us, Professor Arul Selvan, who is the man behind the success of this conference, directly. He played a major role. And again, the madam who is laughing very loudly, Santi Sri madam, she is the one, according to my assessment. I thought that people will not work. But the way she was cooperating for making this conference, really, there is no match to it. Because this program schedule, inaugural schedule, everything was prepared at the 11th hour, but still everything came out very well only because of her cooperation. It's not word of thanks. I'm just only welcome you.
Moshmi also has to be welcome. Moshmi, come on the dais. She's giving the valedictory address. Moshmi Bhattacharya, Dr. Moshmi Bhattacharya, please.
Yeah, please. Please, ma'am, you are most welcome. You are called upon.
It's okay, we missed the name. She's giving the valedictory address.
Okay. So I welcome you also, madam, to this valedictory. And yes, finally, madam Radhika Khanna, she was so tensed before the event. But after starting the event, she became very cool. It is just a reverse. I could not make out. I thought when the program starts, people will be tensed. But it is just a reverse. So because of her nature only, this has become a complete success. So I welcome you, madam, for this particular valedictory. And again, I welcome all our colleagues and people from Auroville and all other delegates who are here who have made this event a complete success, because I was told that I was not able to make it to attend the programs, lectures and these presentations and all. But I was told that every presentation was like an immediate talk, giving enough time and also with ample time for interaction. So even a session had 4 papers, but 1 hour was not sufficient. That is what I heard, because that particular session was supposed to be chaired by me. Since I was in some other meeting, I could not make it. I just requested our conference director and Professor Hanif to help me. And they told me that it took more than 1 hour for just 4 papers. All 4 were present. So that is the speciality of this particular conference. So with these few words, without taking much of the time, I welcome each one of you on behalf of this organizing committee. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you so much, sir, for your beautiful words and kind remarks. Now, I request Dr. Radhika Khanna, the HOD of the department, and also the organizing secretary, pardon me, to speak up a few words. Ma'am.
It's okay. No problem. Nothing to speak right now. I just want to honor our registrar for giving his time and coming. And thank you, sir. And I would also like to honor our 2 very dear colleagues and friends from France, from Toulon, south of France, for being here from the beginning till the end.
Okay. Now I request the Rapporteur General, Dr. Shamshri Ma'am, to give a report of the conference.
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you, Professor Sevgan, for your kind words. And thank you, Dr. Radhika, Organizing Secretary, for this opportunity. And yeah, coming short to the conference proceedings, this is international conference, gave me a lot to learn. And on the day of inaugural, when we are reading the title, Future Communications, Rethinking Societies, Cultures and Governance, was sounding different to me from how it is sounding now. Because after going through 136 papers, reports, and the perspectives of what India is thinking and how globally people are thinking, I'm really privileged, honored to read all these things, and I'm trying my best to place before you gist of the whole thing. Day one started with one beautiful session, a keynote address by Artemis Prashil on life and existential threat in a time of climate shift. That was a beautiful thing with which we inaugurated the session. She's a professor from the USA, and that is continued with two more talks by one Miss Uma Prajapati here, who's here with us, with her, who happened to be a designer who broke the boundaries that bridged the academic and civil society with her service at Auroville, which has a proven record. We're delighted to have you here, ma'am. Her report was so beautiful, that day was so enlightening. And we also had Dr. Belu Mehra, author of several books on Aurobindo's concept philosophy, and she gave a talk on rethinking communications beyond polarities. So Belu Mehra is also part of Pondicherry University as a faculty here. And now coming to the sessions, day one sessions, the entire conference focused upon four areas majorly. If I have to divide it into four, mostly the papers were on digital cultures and digital platforms, social media, media, literacy, and film studies, another important aspect. And also we have a lot to discuss upon the gender in terms of digital awareness, gender in terms of digital literacy, feminism. These are the course we came across, and to mention, and how these are beautifully incorporated and clubbed with the sustainability, environment and spirituality is well presented in the day one session, where Dr. Ananda Vedanayagam was chairing the session. And we had a papers on realizing liminality and experiencing spiritual healing in nature-based tourism, mediations by social media. Professor Anup Kumar and Subhashri Sanyal, they had a beautiful presentation. I think they had been given 1 hour presentation. I think I would have actually made the presentations because they're really worth. And such a papers we had. Another thing, podcasts of mindfulness and emerging new media for practicing mental well-being among youth, actually described how and where the origin is taking place for the mental health, which we don't consider as a place for practicing on an everyday basis. This paper, I suggest people to go through the abstract which is there. And rethinking culture and environment, who is preventing eco-restoration and not letting us live sustainably. This is a very thought-provoking thing because it's a question to the entire civil society where actually we are going, because it is talking about the accountability of the people and their behavior and where it is actually rooting to. And this is beautifully presented by our own professor. Very proudly, I would like to tell the name, Professor Abbasi, Tasneem Abbasi and Tabassum Abbasi. That paper is worth reading. I request very sincerely to go through the paper because it taught us a lot. Then the session on media literacy, chaired by Dr. Rekha Rani Varghese, mentioned about significance of new literacy among students, insights from Pondicherry University, assessing digital media literacy among youth in Punjab, family dynamics in digital environment, media literacy analysis. These papers basically focused upon the behavior of the students and local understanding about the language. In an academic level, how you understand, how practicing generally people do understand. These papers have touched upon those areas. Apart from that, exploring adolescent media preferences and social media awareness among higher secondary students in Kerala, assessing the effectiveness and reliability of social media platforms as information retrieval engines, a comprehensive study by Dr. Kritika K.S. With her scholar Malavika presented. These papers are actually focusing upon rural areas of Kerala, what is the understanding there, and how they have been using the social media as a platform. This perspective is different from the previous perspective. This paper is also shared by Shrija Seshidharan and Dr. Radhika Khanna. And coming to the next session, we had a session on queer studies, political communication. This is a session very interesting. We had beautiful papers. We have been talking about queer, but this session has given an exposure to the perspectives that people generally think about what a queer is and how it is definedly academically addressed. Even this has different perceptions in understanding one concept. So once again, I request people to go through particular papers on understanding this in the abstract. Definitely we are going to have the full paper, but I insist upon certain papers. Rituparna Ghosh, Haider Agni and Khela. Theme of Escape, Children's Film and Queer Auteur as Adapter by Akita Mukherjee. Navigating Transgender Experiences, Interpersonal Stigma and Media Perception, Kirtana Subramaniam. This paper has explored about what we generally do not talk about and what we are supposed to talk about. So this paper has opened up on the boundaries that we have been maintaining and where we require a breakthrough. Then translating the self, human and algorithm envisagement of queer futurity in trans poetry. Shilpa Joy Neeraj Dev, researching the political cartoons with its shifting impact in communication. This paper has beautifully projected how this medium of communication, these political cartoons, give us thought in such a way it depends on the audience to interpret. And these studies have really given us a thoughtful insights on how certain cartoons are, helping people to understand. And actually, there are certain things which are also of kind of a satire. It all depends on how you would like to read a cartoon. So that's a very interesting paper. I recommend you to go through that. A study of memes as a tool of political communication. A case study of the Aam Aadmi Party's social media campaign for the 2020 Delhi Assembly elections by Professor Sayantan Ghosh. And spirituality in political discourse, exploring the intersectionality of spiritual messaging in political communication by Rimpi Saikriya, Pranamita Das and Tripti Mathuri. These papers are also interesting. This next session mentioned about hidden in code, risks and trends in AI-powered social media. There are so many papers in which we have three main papers. This is chaired by Dr. Farhad Basir Khan. And we have here Dr. Ananda Kapoor, a Harvard Kennedy School and This continued with the several papers where I just read about the Ananda Kapoor, Abhay Chawla and Sudesh Puniraman mentioned about hidden in code, risks and trends in AI-powered social media. This has happened online. So abstracts should be having, the gist of it. And then Space and Politics by Dr. C. Jerome Samraj, which had Trust and Distrust on Strangers, a study of the contemporary urban life by Sayari Rao Chowdhury, Fissures in the Annals, an account of grounded politics around archiving by Hasina, a century of technological transformations in the perception of Indian classical music, preserving culinary heritage of Tamil Nadu through digital archive, the transformation of the Indian media landscape, a critical study of the drivers and consequences of mergers and acquisitions in Indian broadcasting industry, 2023 Manipur sexual violence, a critical analysis of news discourse. This has come into the these are the topics which are very diversified in the area of media, space and politics. Whereas if you see the paper on sexual violence of Manipur, which is examine the critical aspects of it, and this reflected the state of Manipur and also status of women. That is a very important thing that has been analyzed and highlighted. Century of technological transformation in perception of Indian classical music has given a very different perspective of understanding music and how we read music and how we experience music. These are the interesting papers. And then we have digital cultures chaired by Professor Shoaib Mohammad Hanif, had the papers on exploring cultural preferences through interactive data storytelling from infographics to dynamic visualizations. Digital Capital, a study on the cultural transitions and socio-economic differences among urban youth in Tamil Nadu. Parenting adolescents in the digital culture, insights from India. Creating trans-regional content, language and cultural dynamics in Indian digital platforms. Transformative potential and challenges of future communication technologies in cultural implications in India. Impact of mobile theatre on youth engagement and cultural participation in Assam. These are the papers that focused upon most of the answers to the questions that we have been questioning ourselves in our daily life. See, these digital culture papers, especially the cultural preferences through interactive data storytelling. This has a very meaningful perception when they analyze the infographics through dynamic visualizations. I think I found it really interesting because there is a lot of scope for further research in this paper. Understanding certain words and exploration to the new techniques is explained here. And then when you talk about the study on the cultural transitions and socio-economic differences among urban youth, when it is mentioned, this study is actually giving a way to the understanding of rest of the states, how they behave, because it is rooted when it is mentioned in Tamil Nadu. We see a lot of reflection through the cultural perspective too. Next session is on digital pedagogies and practices, chaired by Professor Singson. Reimagining education in India, a symbiotic approach leveraging social media and artificial intelligence. Media in age of AI and automation. Love you not, exploring our love-hate relationships with microbes at the undergraduate level through art, history and design. Deep fakes and popular media, social media influences and evolving landscape with AI and digital communication, exploring the impact of AI proliferation on student-teacher relationships, insights from teacher communities. Another thing, between imagination, interactive and smart learning through physical play at home. This entire session focused upon how artificial intelligence is influencing the life and various perspective aspects of the society, the behavior, human behavior in the sections of teaching, as well as influence of the social media and the AI, and is also about understanding, having a symbolic approach towards leveraging social media. These papers are more or less reflecting on the influence of AI on a genre of entire living, what we are going through right now, our behavior, day-to-day life, professionally, personally. Then another session is on day one session, Digital Cultures, Conflict and Democracy, chaired by Professor Kumaresan Raja, has got papers on violence and manipulation. When Hezbollah's radicalism hits the screens, rise of racism and hate speech in today's social media world. I am culture, hear me roll. Understanding the rolling effect of culture in Assassin's Creed universe. Social media and the challenges of conflict reporting, a study of the Israel-Hamas war. Digital mediation of political activism as a case of social change. Meme in market, analyzing the evolution and pattern of Amul memes as an advertising tool from 2020 to 22. Reviewing cringe, analyzing the gaze in engagement with cringe content on Instagram. Application of artificial intelligence in journalism, a survey on media professionals in India. This is a very powerful session. The papers are really so powerful. So is that because of that area it is digital cultures, conflict and democracy. Rise of racism and hate speech in today's social media is a very powerful paper, which has which has openly discussed certain facts that we all think about today, that we are coming across through social media, and also about the role of identifying who said and fake identity and identity, realistic identity, how these things are making difference when you're trying to understand hate speech. Meme is created. Another paper describes as meme in market, how we understand a meme, who created it, and what are the responses to it, how audience pattern behave, comments in the form of comments is influencing the thinking of the people who are following the social media. So how the influencers also influence the media in audience reading the comments. Then comes the session Media and Gender Discourses, chaired by Dr. Radhika Khanna. Unveiling Gender Dynamic in Indian Politics, a comparative study of parliamentary session speeches of male and female politicians. Pandemic, OTT and cinema, understanding shifting popular articulations around gender. Angry Young Man, the emergence of hypermasculinity in popular Hindi cinema, understanding the monosphere, bibliometric analysis of the research landscape. Indigenous feminism, resistance movement of Kukizo women in Manipur. These papers focused upon Indian movie, understanding it, how the OTT platforms helped, and the difference between the watching experience through OTT and on the larger screen. Then comes the session on digital dissent, conflict and democracy, chaired by Professor Aruselvan. This talks of convergence of the economic and the technical, contributions of Guy Debord's critical thinking, a comprehensive study on the cyber attacks on media, threats and solutions, cyberbullying of Indian cricketers on internet, a study, the color of dissent, an analysis of color's role in online social movements and activism, anonymity and managed self-disclosure as privacy management measures in Instagram, digital mediation of political activism as a cause of social change. Another session continued with social movements, chaired by Professor Jesuratnam Devarapalli, governance, urban gardening and public space, towards new mobilization tools for participatory science, digital media revolutionizing journalism practices among the Bodo community of Bodoland, navigating faith and identity, communication strategies in the revival of Doni Poloism among the Tani ethnic tribes of Arunachal Pradesh, rebuilding culture, ritual, knowledge and nature in the ministry of utmost happiness. This session has given insightful thought about how the cultures of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and Bodoland. It discussed a lot about how the thought is, convinced and promoted to the next generations. And then we have another session, Media and Gender Discloses, chaired by Professor Imtiren, bridging the gap, evaluating the influence of political communication on sustainable development. Goal 5 in the voting choices of urban homemakers in Chennai. Media and the Me Too movement in sport, the role of journalists and whistleblowers, exploring the intersection of feminism and communication, perspectives of college students, portrayal of feminism and gender justice by women travel bloggers in social media, a bibliometric analysis, gender sensitive communication through formatting, a reception analysis by Professor Manash Pratim Goswami. This session mentioned about perspective of women, how women respond to things, and how women think about other women, and how women think about men, how men think about women. These are the baselines where you have with the different theoretical outputs beautifully explored. Another session is on media and social change on day 2, chaired by Professor Uma Maheshwari from industrialization of local artistic practices with a reference to Chakulia Pandas of Odisha, screening progress, the role of cinema in mediating social change, ideological polarization, a study on atheist and counter, atheist discourses in cyberspace of Kerala, media in shaping global perceptions about cultures, Curry as a case study, digital media, democracy and citizenship, analyzing online harassment of female journalists in India, collective consciousness in digital age, exploring the anti-sterilite protest through the lens of digital activism, game-based learning, exploring youth depression through tabletop game. Session further continued to the digital pedagogies and practices chaired by Professor S. Arulselvan, digital disruption, a comprehensive study on the challenges confronting traditional retailers in the Indian fashion sector during the e-commerce era, digital actualization and evolution of the school form in tension, exploring immersive learning environments, a perspective inspired by John Dewey's experience, how are urban classroom traditions silencing the marginalized students, an intercultural study on participatory learning, examining the impact of integrating interactive presentations and artificial intelligence tools on higher education classrooms, a quasi-experimental study in India. The session continued and gender and social change online with the interesting papers on hashtag feminism amidst politics and economics of visibility, a study on why loiter, advertisements as prospective tool in creating awareness among the tribal women, from tradition to innovation, examining the transformative effects of mobile technology adoption on Haryana rural female artisans, mediating change, digital filmmaking initiatives among indigenous communities in Northeast India, the influence on Instagram on the construction of sexualized female bodies, a qualitative exploration among female college students, evolving trends in public government communication, exploring Kerala's digital media drive for civic participation and decentralized service delivery, understanding the impact of gender inequality in the field of photojournalism, a study, amplifying the voices of marginalized women through social media, a case study in Kashmir. This entire session went through a space where the women is almost, every part of India is covered in the session. I chaired this session. So the perspective of Kashmir women and the perspective of women from the Northeast and perspective of other states, there are differences. There is a difference definitely. So the moment when you say the women is not definitely equal with the women when you say from Kashmir, Northeast and the rest of the states. That is the observation I made. Another session is on film studies chaired by Dr. Nivedita, where the papers are on Beyond the Screen, examining Indian web series impact on various college students in Dehradun city, examining the landscape of contemporary Indian eco-cinema through critical analysis of select films, interrogating North Indian village representations in Malayalam cinema, regional perceptions, socio-political dynamics and cultural negotiations, commoditizing motherhood in Indian cinema, a Marxist reading of the movie Enterprise KGF, a study on the cultural geography of Assam through the lenses of its regional film industries, significance of interpersonal communication for farm women of Uttarakhand, peer support in Kolkata, a case study on sex worker empowerment. Day 2 session continued with health communication chaired by Dr. Samarjit Kachari, a systematic review of digital awareness and impact of cyberbullying on adolescents' mental health, Indian perspectives, nutrition informatics to create awareness among school-going children, information communication technologies for sustainable healthcare, a case of telepathology in India, menstruation, a call for greater awareness and understanding, a case study on Thirandu Kalyanam in Kerala, health and menstrual well-being, a comparative study of global and Indian period tracking apps, assessing the impact of climate change on reproductive health, a content analysis of climate journalism coverage. These things, health communication areas are very interesting because I could see a lot of understanding of how the digital technology can be learnt by the women for understanding their health status, and especially dealing with the cases of PCOD, and then menstrual irregularities, how the apps are helping them, how these actually, when while talking about these things, it is more helping men to understand the behavior of men, hormonal imbalance. So particular papers mentioned on these things are very interesting, because this is what exactly is the need of the hour, behavior of the women in a social structure, taking from age of 10 to 60 until unless you reach the menopause. The next session went on queer studies, behind the curtain, exploring queer narratives in Bollywood, Instagram as a queer space, a study of alternative sexualities on digital platform Instagram in the context of Indian society, Indian advertising transforming the popular gender narrative, analysis of queer advertisements in India, queer queens and alternative sexuality towards inclusion of asexual, a critical analysis of queer portrayals in the web series Made in Heaven and its impact on LGBTQ plus narratives in India, queer parenting, challenging heteronormativity in India, cinema, queer aesthetics and gender performity in Chitrangada, The Crowning Wish. These papers mentioned about a lot on how queer is understood in society, how it is defined, and several theoretical inputs are given and in how to understand queer, how to read the phenomena of queer. Media literacy, chaired by Professor Leelatharan. Role of media literacy training for the youth in combating misinformation, a study among UG students in Kerala. Enhancing media literacy in digital age, a role of verification, fact-checking and engagement. Users' preferences and satisfaction levels in Kannada news station among post-graduation students, a study of Bangalore city. Unveiling the media literacy landscape, a deep dive into of rural Chhattisgarh. Environmental migration and climate displacement on BFM TV. How to deal with the 24-hour television news with this present and future public issue. We also have papers in the same session on navigating the digital landscape, policy recommendations for integrating media literacy into school curricula in India, redefining educational landscapes, the impact of globalization and digital transformation on learning paradigms and spaces, communication inequality and health, qualitative analysis of health communication inequality experiences among the fishermen community during COVID-19, and we have another session on film studies chaired by Dr. Muthamil, exploring the domestication of cinema in Kerala, a media archaeological approach, portraying the principles of governance, a study of select Bollywood films, perspectives on sexual diversities in Indian cinema, a bibliometric analysis, capital flows and content values, Malayalam cinema after the advent of OTT, Bollywood item songs and the male gaze, decoding the patterns with statistical style analysis, significance of powerful feminism in Indian social context through Indian cinema. These are the papers which described on film studies. We do have another session on AI communication and media, chaired by Dr. Arul Silvan. The impact of artificial intelligence on media, a case study of Lucknow media houses, examining role of emotional engagement with news produced and disseminated using artificial intelligence tools, AI and journalism in South Asia, debates and directions, strategic communication approaches of India in response to negative publicity from neighboring states, a study. Communication studies is another session on day 2, chaired by Dr. Chinchu. Role of socio-economy and gender in weather forecasting information viewing pattern among the coastal inhabitants. Visual representations of climate change in India, the case study of India Today magazine. The alternative classroom, a self-reflexive study on the impact of experimental pedagogy. Sports pedagogy and the effectiveness of communication, findings from a research study. The role of artificial intelligence in accelerating the creation and spread of deep fake on Instagram. A study. Another session on film studies chaired by Dr. Balasaravan is inclusive of emerging film industry, a study on the different shifts of Kasi cinema, nostalgia consumption and the cultural phenomenon of Barbie, perspectives of women, creative participatory pedagogy, personal narratives and ecstatic experiments in animated documentary design, tracing the emergence of folk genre being transformed and presented within the Bollywood songs, a qualitative analysis of select folk songs in India, analyzing the cinematic portrayal of gentrification in Kerala using the Malayalam film Kammati, sorry, Kerala students, forgive me, Kammati Padam as reference. I don't know whether I have read it properly. Okay. Unraveling women's representation in Malayalam sports cinema through select films, Bollywood rom-com, changing trends and its mediated influence. This has actually taught me a lot of things about film and especially Kerala films and understanding of Bollywood songs and how song is read, how it is interpreted, what is the idea behind when they dealt with the, when it compared with the lyrics of the songs. Another session chaired by Dr. Radhika Khanna on spiritual, from the personal to the political panel session, where the panelists are Arpan Yagnik, Rojigo,
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the detailed report on the paper presentations and sessions. Your comments were indeed very insightful to everyone. And also, special mention and very sincere thanks to all the rapporteurs as well who were involved in the preparation of the report. Moving ahead, now I request the participants to come up on the stage and share their experiences on this 3-day international conference.
One or two can share, any one or two can share your experience if you want, briefly. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So, here we have arrived to the end of a wonderful and exciting experience of 3 days. This seminar initiating discussions on very important and thought-provoking concepts such as communication, space, inclusivity, consciousness, spirituality, influences of artificial intelligence, digital culture, and different theory, like touching different theoretical backgrounds, covering various socio-geographical spaces, and coming from multi-disciplinary perspectives. It was a very enriching and enlightening experience, especially for young academics like me who are still in the stage of extreme confusion. And beginning with the keynote address to the interesting presentations, panel discussions, and the night stroll in the rock beach, and the delicious meals till the field trip to Auroville, it was a wholesome journey for the brain, mind, and inner consciousness. I'm extremely thankful to the Pondicherry University, the Department of Electronic Mass Media and Communication, Dr. Radhika Khanna, and the University of Toulon for providing us with the platform in which we could initiate interesting conversation and also form dialogues and relationships, which are really important in this contemporary times of rat race, where we are totally engrossed in our individualistic role, like in our individualistic goals. So I'm confident that this will be, we will be carrying this essence of the experience back with us, and it will stay with us, make us think, rethink, and reflect back. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, moving ahead. Now I would like to request Professor Michel Durampart from the University of Toulon, France, to share his experience.
Thanks so much. The first point, very important point. I would like to apologize to be behind you in such clothes. I'm very confused. I hope you forgive me. I have no time to go back to my hotel this afternoon, so it's one of the reasons. The second important point, I would like to congratulate and to say to all the people here, my colleague, my Indian colleague, and other countries, the students, the PhD, how it was wonderful for us. I talk about Hervé, myself, and Philippe, and my colleague in France who were at distance. We are distant, because it was wonderful, it was a great moment. We heard a lot of communication, very, very interesting. And thanks to Radhika Khanna, to Professor Ari Selvan, to Saif, Sueth, but I think it's not correct. And all the other colleagues to do that, because, and we are very proud to collaborate as we can at distance for this wonderful event. I would like to congratulate, of course, all the colleagues from the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication to organize and to be present with their communication, and especially to the students in master and the PhD. Philippe, Hervé, and myself, we talk about that, and we say how we are very surprised, very interesting, but the topic, the subject we heard during these 2 days, especially for the PhD and the student master, really, there is a good level of reflection, analysis on several topics. about social, cultural, media studies, about educational EA, digital device, and education, my favorite topic, and about cinema, movies, mass media, etc. We heard very, very interesting reflection, and bravo for this. And the last point is to talk a little about the cooperation we have with the department and generally with the Pondicherry University. We saw just 2 or 3 hours ago, and you see, the Vice-Chancellor, and he is very glad to confirm that we increase the cooperation between Media in France. My laboratory is called HIMSIC. And I have to say you that this cooperation begin with Hervé and Radhika, a kind of meeting when Hervé was in holidays here, and Hervé is a kind of explorer. He came here and he see Radhika, he see some colleague of Radhika, and a long time ago, 10 years ago, I think, it began like that. And after, 7 years ago, Philippe and myself come here. And we beginning with Hervé and another colleague, this cooperation. And we do cooperation in training, cooperation in research, distant meeting with PhD students and doctorants here and doctorants in Toulon. We initiate a kind of research program, and we have visiting professor, Hanif, Professor Aselvan, Radhika, of course, and we come ourselves here. So, actually, we would like to go further in collaboration between thesis, PhD, a good project research. We can mix together about perhaps digital device, HEI on education in university, with analysis comparative with other countries, Canada, India, of course, in first, and other countries. So we are very, very interesting, and we want to increase this cooperation. And I would like to excuse my colleague, Philippe Bonfils. He is obliged to start because he has a plane this night. But I think he's here with her soul and her heart in distance. We are used to collaborate in distance, but it's always a very, very big pleasure to be with you here and to see that we are very close between Media, IMSIC, and the department and the research you do in this department. So, bravo, and again, bravo. And I hope we can have more and more cooperation between us. And thanks for all this.
Thank you so much, Professor, for sharing your experiences and explaining the prospects of future collaboration between the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication and the University of Toulon. Now, I request Ms. Uma Prajapati to share her experience as well.
It feels like a bullet train just passed through. And listening to Shanti ma'am, I was just blown that this is what we have managed to cross over in such a short period, and even managed to give Auroville experience on top of it. So I'm kind of overwhelmed and deep in gratitude and admiration of what goes around one department, and so much alignments to future, and how many minds and talents and aspirations and time and investigation. And I feel very fortunate to be part of it, and I just want to sign up to be in touch and do whatever we can do, and Auroville to be part of it, and invite you to Auroville to do your research and do internship and be connected to us, and at your service. I'm just blown. And it is first time to me to sit through kind of 3 days, and directly, indirectly, and very, very inspired at this moment. Thank you so much, all the researchers especially. You guys have been just awesome. And my heroine, Radhika Khanna, she's incredible. And seeing her in distant now so closely, and enthusiasm and very genuine effort, what she brings in, and how much she gives 150% of herself and continue to do that. Bless you with bottom of my heart. Keep rocking. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Uma ma'am, for your kind and generous remarks. Now, moving ahead, I request Dr. Moushami Bhattacharya, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Center for Journalism and Mass Communication, Vishwa Bharati, a Central University of National Importance, Shantiniketan, for the valedictory address.
Thank you. A very good evening to dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, scholars, students. Actually, I'm also very overwhelmed, though I joined this conference very briefly, and now actually I'm cursing my schedule. Why couldn't I join earlier? So yes, as we draw to a close to this enlightening gathering of minds at the International Conference on Future Communications, Rethinking Societies, Cultures and Governance, it is with a sense of profound reflection that I address you today, very briefly. Over the course of our deliberations, we have traversed through the intricate terrain of media, governance, and gender dynamics. And the scholars, they have examined the strides made towards women's emancipation through various governmental schemes aimed at education, health, and economic empowerment. Yet, amidst these commendable efforts, we cannot overlook the persistent gender gaps that permeate our political and media landscape. As because I work in this field, so I would like to share 2-3 points here, very briefly, and allow me to provide some context to these observations. The general election 2019 marked a historic moment as female voters outnumbered their male counterparts for the first time in India. However, despite this significant milestone, the gender gap in political participation persists, with Indian women still underrepresented in the labor force compared to the other nations with similar levels of economic development. The representation of women in the lower houses of legislative assemblies further exemplifies this. Despite being half the country's population, women hold only 15% of seat in the Lok Sabha. Comparatively, India does not rank among the top nations for women's participation in the lower house, a list surprisingly led by Rwanda. Moreover, the lack of female chief ministers in many Indian states after 75 years of independence underscores the entrenched gender disparities in political leadership. Only a handful of states, including Delhi, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal, have elected women chief ministers more than once. As we delve deeper into the media realm, we find a similar narrative of underrepresentation and missed opportunities. While media outlets have been instrumental in exposing the shortcomings of political parties in promoting gender equality, they have fallen short in fostering inclusivity and neutrality within their ranks. The dwindling numbers of women in senior decision-making positions across media establishments, coupled with the decline in women's participation in journalism, highlight the urgent need for introspection and correct action within the media fraternity. Let's heed the call for greater accountability and comment from our political leaders and media gatekeepers. Let us strive to create an environment where women are not merely passive recipients of welfare programs only, but also active participants in decision-making process that shape our societies. I would like to mention my institution, Vishwa Bharati, here, which has been enlisted as one of the World Heritage Sites by the UNESCO last year. So, Vishwa Bharati, founded by the Nobel laureate poet Rabindranath Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore's idea of education and communication being essential for fostering understanding and harmony among individuals and societies can be linked to the concept of future communications, rethinking societies, cultures, and governance. In today's rapidly changing world, advances in technology have transformed into the way we communicate and interact with one another. So by rethinking our approach to communication, we have the opportunity to build more inclusive and empathetic societies, bridging cultural divides and promoting effective governance. Basically, our research scholars throughout these 3 days, what actually I should thank ma'am, you, the way you tried to incorporate all the research papers, which was maybe to a few people maybe it's boring, but this is very essential for any valedictory session. And there we can actually see the number of research papers, the way that the researchers, they have tried to articulate different points. I have pointed out a few points which we all need to remember, but the way our young generation, the way the young researchers, they are coming up with various ideas, and the way they are trying to actually show us the path, that is mind-blowing. And we all need to congratulate Dr. Radhika Khanna, this university, Professor Auroville, and the registrar sir, and the entire university and the University of Toulon, France, and the way they have articulated. And it's not a very, very small thing, organizing so many papers in these 2 days. It's really commendable. So before I bid farewell, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the organizers for orchestrating such a big conference, and the way they have actually initiated the dialogue. This dialogue, and I would request Dr. Radhika Khanna, so if we can actually get a good publication out of this, because all the research workers, they have done their work very, very meticulously. So we will be really benefited out of this publication, because here in this whatever conversations we have here, so it should not stop here. Maybe the many such research works, they can initiate many dialogues in future. So that will be really helpful for the future research. Thank you all again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I request respected Registrar of Pondicherry University, Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, to deliver his presidential.
Thank you so much. And I would say this presidential address would be a big misnomer after listening to such a good speech. In fact, let me start congratulating all of you for having completed this international conference successfully. In fact, this is very rarest of rare occasion that you have validity session at about 8 p.m. in night. So that shows the intensity and the success of this particular. In fact, let me be very honest, when I met Professor Radhika Khanna in the afternoon, and I tried to discourage her to invite me to to this particular valedictory session, and I asked this question to her. Maybe she may not have liked it, or I don't know. Let's see. Will there be anybody to have the valedictory session after 3 days of? But I'm so happy and so proud of the audience that you are still here listening patiently. So congratulations to everyone for this particular wonderful workshop. And yes, I would also echo some of the thoughts which our invited guests and other speakers have talked about, particularly what Madam Uma Prajapati told. I was also amazed listening to Dr. Shanti Shree's report. Such a mammoth task she has done. And that only precipitated my own kind of feeling that, oh my God, I missed so much. I could not attend any of the session and so much of the things. In fact, I was asking Arul Selvan sir that was there any topic which was left, which was not talked about in this? Any topic on the earth you name and it has been deliberated upon. So this is another such rare conference, I would say, which I personally have not come across, which provides platform to the entire gamut of the knowledge domain. And so this is a wonderful, I would say, the kind of conference which brings people from so many of variety of disciplines together and then exchange of ideas. I was also going through some of the thoughts when I was listening to the report that, there are so many diverse topics which have been touched upon. But it appears that there is some kind of overarching themes running through all these sub-themes, and which I could understand is one is the now all-pervasive digital age, digital media, particularly in the context of AI, and in the broader context of climate change, the sustainability, climate change, gender issue. Everything is now has to be understood in the framework of the unprecedented times that we are going through in terms of the climate threats, climate challenges, and in terms of the challenges and opportunities that are being provided by the AI. And when I kept on listening to the report and the thing, then I found it very paradoxical in some context, some level. For example, no doubt that today's times are unprecedented in terms of the kind of potential that AI has, kind of challenges that AI has. In fact, I'm sure many of the speakers will deliberate that the kind of all-pervasive AI thing in our life. In fact, that reminded me, somebody said that nowadays people do not have their free will to exercise. We are nudged so much that without knowing, probably we have some nudges, some influences, and we act under those influences. So we probably have lost our free will in this AI. And that reminded me another thing, that now Elon Musk is coming with the neurotransplant. So I do not know what level we are going to compromise our own free will. That is one thing. So this is completely unprecedented time, no doubt about it. And then you have climate change, which is also unprecedented. You have the extreme events, the frequency that are increasing, and the kind of socio-economic challenges that are creating. But on the other level, at the individual level, we are discussing about the existential questions. We are discussing about the conflicts that are on rise, from individual to the society to the national levels. We see everywhere conflicts on rise. With the so much of progress that we are making, conflicts are also rise. So this is bringing us to these very fundamental human emotions of existential nature. And you probably would, everybody would have noticed that the kind of bookshelves we have now in the book stores, whether you go to airport, everywhere, most of the books are self-help groups, self-help type of books. So that shows what kind of struggles that individuals are going through. Why I find it very funny or very paradoxical is that same thing, my mind goes back to 100 years back when Nietzsche said God is dead, and then Camus said that we are actually going through these existential questions. So the same kind of discourse which was happening maybe in 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, are we not going to do the same kind of discourse but in a different, from a different threats or from a different challenges? So ultimately, it appears to me that humans are basically not much changed, except that we have created new problems, new challenges. Those new challenges only have changed, but at fundamental level, we are still struggling with the same questions, same answers. If you come to the very, very fundamental emotions, so in that way, I find that this kind of discourses actually make us acknowledge that at least. So first step to address issues or to see the future communications or future way forward is to first acknowledge that what kind of society we are living. And when you provide such kind of platform where you can have opinions from all the kinds of discipline, that could not be, I mean, there could not be any better way to acknowledge the present day reality first and then go forward. And when I speak of going forward, I was also reminded of the last year's Nobel Prize winner, my French colleagues probably know her better, Annie Arnaud. And when she was given the 23 or 2022 Nobel Prize in Literature, I was listening to her interview. And the interviewer asked, what is your advice to the aspiring writers? Would advise them who are aspiring to become as good writer as you are. And I still very vividly remember what she answered. She said that I don't advise them to try to write good or write better. I would advise them to write honestly. Then I realized probably the crux of the matter is this. Among all these challenges, what we are losing is the authenticity. What we are losing is the straightforwardness. And that is where I think all communications lack here today. I mean, this could be debatable issue. But if we, sometimes it is intentional, we are becoming, in times of deep fakes and post-truth. In fact, when I was going through the prospectus of this, brochure of this, I read this post-truth and then I went back 10 years back. I remember Oxford Dictionary has declared the word post-truth as the most searched word. That was 10 years back. So you see, that time we started understanding what actually the post-truth is. Now we have come to the deep fakes, so that has gone to some next level. So all these deep fakes, post-truth, somewhere is making us to lose our own authenticity, our own honesty. And now the challenge has become to actually realize our own honesty, our own authenticity as an individual, as a society, and as a bigger group of humans. And once we can achieve that, probably I don't know whether we'll be overcome to all challenges or maybe probably we will be inventing new challenges to tackle again as the history tells us. But to do all these things, the best platform is or best way is to exchange idea as freely, as authentically and as honestly as possible. And that is what this conference seems to have provided. Very, very happy that you have invited. Thank all the participants, organizers. Of course, Radhika ma'am deserves the full credit. So thank you ma'am for having organized this. I also thank the University of Toulon from the behalf of the University of Pondicherry University, that you have collaborated with us for so many years. In fact, we met today in the afternoon in the VC's chamber, and our Vice Chancellor, as Michelle has already informed, Philip, Michelle and Harvey, all three were there. And we were very eager to renew the memorandum of understanding with them. And our Vice Chancellor and our friend from Toulon also are very eager to exchange the students. So that is where we are looking forward to this particular collaboration, that our students should get exposed to each other and each other's working culture. So it will be probably much, much more beneficial. So I thank them to be here at this hour also. And Savyukan sir, so much of and thank you for giving such a generous introduction to me, which I don't deserve. So thank you so much. Arul Selvan sir, thank you so much. Mashmi Bhattacharya, who is there for this particular validity exercise. So I'm very, very grateful to all these people. And from Pondicherry University, on behalf of the administration, I not only feel proud, but I also assure you that whenever such kind of conferences you envisage this particular department, we are there to support you, and we feel proud that such kind of departments, such kind of students are there in the university. So with that, congratulations everybody, and thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful words. Now, I would like to hand over the microphone to Dr. Shanti ma'am to call up the names of the delegates and participants to distribute the certificates of participation. I request Professor Rajneesh sir to give away the certificates. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's so nice. So, most waited moment for all the participants. Puducherry, Miss Puducherry. There's a certificate there. Janeshwar Jadwar. Wait, it's coming. Yeah. Be careful. Huh? Sudarshan Karath. Sudhanshu Naik. Sudhanshu K. Naik. Apratim Bhattacharyya. Apratim Bhattacharya. Vinod Kumar D. Chavan. Miss Shilpa. Shilpa. Vinod Kumar. Vinod Kumar. This is Vinod Kumar. Miss Shilpa. Miss Vasundhara. Wait. Miss Vasundhara. Miss Shiny Angel. Rajesh G. Rajesh. Selva Shakila M. Selva Shakila. Kashish. Sayari Roy Chaudhary. Sayari Roy Chaudhary. Amrita Balakrishnan. Balaganpati. Balaganpati. So these are the very few who received it out of so many participants and paper presenters. Thank you all so much. I now request Dr. Radhika Khanna to propose the vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Before I propose the vote of thanks, I'd like to say that everybody will receive their certificates very soon and they all are ready. But because it's dinner time, I mean, it's past 8 or whatever, I don't know. Therefore, we are just, as a token, we're giving the certificates to those who have come from all over India and who are here till the end. Just this is like a symbolic ceremony that we could give some, but all the authors and co-authors of the 136 papers which have been presented in the international conference will all receive their certificates very soon, so please do not worry. At this moment, as 3 days draw to a close, and we will have dinner, we will end with dinner together. There is dinner awaiting, there's food for thought, and there is food also after the thought, so please enjoy a dinner together. Our last moments of celebrating dialogue, exchange, smiling to each other, sharing ideas with each other over a nice light dinner. So first is the invitation for the dinner, and then is my very deeply heartfelt gratitude first and foremost to the universe that made it all possible. And we all were just mere instruments, and one stands among you. So I do not take any credit, because whatever happened happened through me and through my department and our university. We were mere instruments of doing this. It could have happened anywhere in the world, but we did it, but we couldn't have done it without the support of all the souls and all the energies who brought us together to stand before you. First and foremost, I want to express a very, very deep thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Karasu, who has also been our Dean for a year and has always encouraged and supported us, and continues to do so in his current position as Vice Chancellor officiating. Thank you, Professor Tarini Karasu, for your support. Professor Rish Bhutani has been a colleague for many years, a very, very accessible colleague and a very authentic person who speaks his mind and heart. And you've done that again at this occasion. Thank you for being here in spirit and person. And the department would be very, very grateful to the leadership of the university for getting the support we need, which is especially equipment which we don't have to run our courses. For 240 students, we have 3 or 4 working cameras. We don't have sufficient computers. The department is working with a physical infrastructure, but no technical infrastructure to prepare the students for the future. So if this conference helps us get some support from the university to upgrade our equipment and offer genuine training and authentic training to the students, then this conference would have been really beneficial for all the students, present and future. I also thank our finance officer in charge, Dr. D. Lazar. Of course, he is in a difficult position. Money is less, supply is less, demand is more. Now, who should you give the money to? We are also standing in the line, and we request Professor Dr. Lazar to pay heed to our requests in the future and give this department the necessary support so it can come out to be one of the best on the international front. Deep thank you to you, Professor Clement Lutz, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, and also a very revered colleague, senior colleague in the English department, who graced our inauguration and with his heart-warming words gave us the encouragement and flagged off the event on a very auspicious and a very beautiful note. So thank you to you, Professor Clement, for being there and supporting us again. I also thank our librarian, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar, who has been very helpful and who has given us their conference management system and set it up for us so that we could do the work seamlessly and kind of effectively. So thank you to you, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar. He was there for the inauguration. So was with us the Director of Directorate of Distance Education, Dr. Arvind Gupta, who has promised us that he will try and help us through some funds from his unit in the university if we fail to pay the bills. So, and that's helpful, but it's not about money. In principle, the support of all of these people, the names I'm giving, it's not that because they're giving us something that we are thanking them. Even if they give us nothing, we will still thank them. Because I know that they have our prosperity and our progress at their they value it and they want to do it is what matters. The intention is what matters. So all of the senior officers of the university who are standing behind this department with very strong pillars of support, I thank all of them. And how can I not thank our Dean, School of Communication, who's also a senior colleague, Professor Sevukan, who's smiling, charming, knows how to get his way through every situation. I have to learn a line or two from him, and I have to know how to navigate life through him. He's my new role model now. How to be a good communicator, I must learn from him. So thank you so much, sir, for standing with us at all times and supporting us and helping bridge the gaps and bringing people together. I think that's a beautiful quality, and he is blessed in abundance with that. Thank you, sir, Professor Sevukan. Then, of course, I would like to thank all the other departments of the university without whose able support this event cannot be. The logistics, the electrical department, the civil department, the horticulture department, the guest house, all of them who are propping us up and giving us the infrastructure without which we cannot exist. The auditorium, stage and floor may be ready by the next international conference next year. We give it a year. Hopefully, in a year we'll be ready with a better sound system, a better LCD projector. So in a year, hopefully, we will complete this whole project and be ready for generations of students. Even when we will not be there, every generation of students will benefit from these spaces. So thank you to all the university departments, and if I missed naming any, my apologies. The university guest house, which has given accommodation to all our delegates, I thank all of them. And how can I not thank my team at EMRC, Educational Multimedia Research Center, that sits here and slogs from morning 7 o'clock till night 12 o'clock. Their labor has not gone waste, and thank you so much for your support at all times. Thank you. All the organizing committee members of Pondicherry University and of all the partnering institutions, I thank you. And all our partnering institutions who have helped us in some way or the other. It is again, like I said, not something that can be measured in terms of what they gave, in terms of money or monies, but thought leadership, support, recruitment, spreading the word. There's so many ways that people have helped us. And I want to put on record our thanks to the University of Toulon, and you have heard them. You've heard Philip and Hervé and Michelle. There is a deep connection between Toulon and Pondicherry University, which is definitely going to become stronger with each growing moment and day. And we are looking forward to an exchange of PhD students and master's students very soon. We are working at it, and I really hope it will manifest. That's another dream that I have true. I thank Oslo Metropolitan University, Norway, for really helping us to spread the word and giving us the moral support that we needed when we started on a very lonely front. We thank Multimedia University, Malaysia, who are not very much visible here because of Ramadan and Eid, and it's an important festival for them, and they are involved with that. But again, at the initial stages, they were really, really helping us. And I want to put on record my thanks to all these institutions. To Auroville in large, to the vision of Mother and the setting up of Auroville in 1968, I am utterly thankful to, because if Auroville wasn't there, we wouldn't have an opportunity to thank Auroville. But 3 or 4 individuals who became catalysts for things to happen in a very, very kind of, what would I say, without effortlessly. I mean, there was no effort. There was a authentic giving collaboration, and to which I want to thank International Center for Strategy and Communication, which is at the helm of research and innovation and communication in Auroville. I want to thank Integral World, which is doing a lot of work with sustainable development goals in Auroville. I want to thank Aware, which is working in bridging the gaps in the community in Auroville, and for sharing their knowledge and deep reflection about the work they do in the community with us, so we all can also learn how to build conscious communities through conscious communication. The individuals who are thereof a part of these units, Lakshidharan, Isabel, and Manisha, who have been in the organizing team and helping at all stages, a big thank you to all of you. I've already thanked EMRC, and now finally I want to thank all the people who accepted our invitation to come and present talks, be a part of the panel discussions. Professor Artemis, who came very kindly to present her keynote address and who had all of us absolutely engaged in her presentation through cinema and through how we need to shift in this age of the digital being there, but the spirit also to be revived and to be kept alive. The inaugural address by Uma Prajapati, who happens to be with us here today also. Not happens, I mean, she's chosen to be here and not be elsewhere. And so I thank Uma for giving us her time. And Dr. Belu Mehra, who just before catching a flight, came here and put her thoughts. So the point I want to say that on the inauguration, we had 3 powerful women coming on the dais and adding to all the other people of all non-binaries, binaries, identities. It doesn't matter we are men or women or whatever, which identity we assign ourselves to or relate ourselves to. But the fact that consciously certain individuals gave their time, quality time, and the culling of their sense of their learning in their life and put it out for this entire audience. We were a very fortunate lot. And I thank all the people who came on the inauguration, the people who joined us for the online sessions from Delhi, Sudesh Uniraman, Anandana Kapoor, and Abhay Chawla, Dr. Abhay Chawla, who really added to a great interaction on how exactly is AI shaping, reshaping, or impacting our lives. For the discussion on the spiritual, from the personal to the political, my great gratitude to Dr. Arpin Nagnik from Penn State University, to Roderick, who now we call lovingly Rod, to Veronica Nagrel, who is Hungarian but lives in Ecuador right now, and all the people who came together with Lakshay and Oma, and Dr. Amar, who's right now heading the election. I don't know I'm sorry, I don't know his exact name and designation, but he just got in touch with me that you have a panel of spirituality. I've been deputed here to take care of the elections in Pondicherry and I want to attend your session. And he arrived with a big fleet of security and they said nobody there to receive him. I didn't even know who he was, but he came here, sat and listened to the entire thing and just added a comment or two at the end. It was beautiful how people just came from everywhere unexpectedly and reached out to me that we want here. And that for me, I want to express gratitude to that spirit and to that reciprocity which made this event such a energetic and such a beautiful space for all of us to inhabit. And all the delegates from abroad and India, all the chairs, the rapporteur session, all the panel discussants, all who have really contributed to making this event what it is, your energy, your thoughts, your contribution, this would not have been what it is if each one of you sitting here wouldn't have worked on it and thought about it and brought ideas on the dais. So thank you to all of you. A lot of you have joined us from online, about 55 participants online from all over the world. And I don't know if you're listening right now or later to the recording, but thanks to all of you who have, even from a distance, remotely, joined this journey of exploring ideas and listening to each other. The PhD students of this department and the master students of this department who have worked tirelessly over the last 1 week or so to make sure that everything is picture perfect. The food on the table, the reception, everything, each and every little attention to detail that was delivered to you thanks to the lovely army of people here who chose to help in whatever area they wanted to. There are quite a few and they would be honored eventually, but to them collectively as a group, the student force of the department, the research and the PG and the alumni as well who have come here to help us from Delhi and Kolkata and have taken care of the teams at guest house. I'm touched that I asked that please come and people flew down after graduating to come and help us in the conference. So to alumni, to PhD students and master students, big thank you. And I don't think I've missed anybody. Yes, two agencies from outside the university. I want to thank the catering service by Mr. Satish Babu. I think you all enjoyed the food by him and his team. And it was a finger licking good, and I know that. So, and I will convey this to him. He might be here to meet you tonight, perhaps. And he's a lovely human being and gives us lovely food, and a big thank you to him and to all the people who cooked the food with love and hygiene and taste. And to our transport providers, Comfort Travel, we thank for giving us all the vehicles on time so that the event could run well. I think everybody has been thanked, and I invite all of you to stay in touch so that the conversations that have begun today can in some form or the other, continue. The publications, there'll be a post-conference committee which will look into, there's a lot of work to be done post-conference. And all of you have to work and send us your full text papers by September, and they would be put into a reviewing process, and then we'll be contacting journals and whatever. So the process, we will do it as best as we can to our ability and our reach, and you just do your research and share it with us in the best way you can, and we will keep giving you feedback to improve it with our panel of reviewers, so that genuinely we contribute to research. It's not that only the best will shine, but that everybody can become the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request everyone to rise for the national anthem.